institution that is focused on providing our students with an exceptional learning experience. The only way we can do that is if we can get kids there and get them engaged. And that starts with our parents being partners in that. For most of our students, a large part of our population up through about 10th grade, the students cannot drive themselves. We do not provide transportation. That is not something that we offer nor promise. So when you make an investment in being part of Westlake Academy's community, you also are agreeing to be sure that you can make that work for your family. And we want that to work for every family. But we can't do our job at school unless the students get there and they get there on time. So this is going to help us address that. Regular and consistent attendance is just critical for success in any academic environment, but particularly in an IB environment where we are teaching kids to be a voice in the classroom, teaching them to create agency for themselves in their education. Again, they cannot do that if they're not at school. So this policy is going to outline specific consequences if the attendance issues become pervasive. And those can include things like a fee for students who are not brought on time or picked up on time after school. We do not offer at this time after school care in the way of like daycare. We do offer some after school programs. Those are opt-in. Those are for a fee. But parents who are continually late and we're leaving students with our office staff, which is not safe. It's not, yes, and then we incur the expense of that. So that's just not a good process. Court referral for truancy. So if the actual attendance becomes an issue, having an outlet for that, having a way to address that. And then ultimately administrative withdrawal if those pervasive drop-offs or pickups just become a problem. If we have 10 or more in any consecutive 30-day period, I think that part's getting cut off on the slide right there. But basically 10 of those instances in any continuum of 30 days would be addressed that way. And then this also includes just a reiteration of what we looked at with Darcy in the last two meetings, which is registration by May 31st is expected, or withdrawal from the academy will occur, an administrative withdrawal. So just having that on our radar. Darcy, would you like to update on where we are with our re-enrollments? Parents, if you are listening online and you have not re-registered your student for next year, please get that done.
Tonight.
Come here. Yes, tonight, right now. You're online anyway, just do it.
We've been working very hard in the office to make sure that we don't have to take any steps to unenroll any of our current students because that's the last thing that we want. We have contacted the remaining families who haven't enrolled, contacted them over 23 times with notices, emails, messages through the communique, text, personal phone calls, and we still have, as of earlier, right before I came over today, 37 students who have not enrolled. We're working tirelessly to get them enrolled. Tomorrow we will start looking at anyone that's left. We will start the mail, registered mail, certified mail, sent out to them. We're hoping not to have to do much of that because that's an expense to the school. I think it's about $10 a letter. So we really don't want to put the time and the money into doing that. But we're hoping by the end of the week we can narrow that down even more. But we're doing everything we can.
How many did you say?
At this point, 37 students.
And then
That's down. Earlier, at the beginning of the week, we had 85. So we are doing it, but it's taken 23 contacts.
It's exhausting.
It takes a lot of time and effort to get to this number.
Hey, John, would you put in our meeting recap this one in like big, bold red letters? And then
we're using bold red letters in our communications with them.
Red ink budget's going to go up. So no, I think that's fair. And Kelly, I want to just applaud you again. We kind of started this meeting, the work session, just as we are getting our school contemporary with our policies and procedures and lessons learned and all that. So thank you.
Darcy's been
excellent.
And we appreciate the board's support on that. Otherwise, this would drag out throughout the summer, so it's a big help too.
I hope, and this probably comes across sounding a little callous, I don't mean it, but there's roles and responsibilities that we all have in the education of our children. And we need our parents to be a little diligent and get their kids lined up and respond to it. And if you're not going to enroll your children, let us know. So we'll quit harassing you.
Yeah, that's what we tell them. We'll quit calling if, if you tell us so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve WA Resolution 25-08 as presented? Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Kelly, next one, H6, discuss, consider, and act regarding WA Resolution 25-12, approving amendment to the Westlake Academy admission policy.
Thank you so much. Jason, I think. Oh, there we go. Sorry. All right, so this one directly relates to admissions. The purpose of this particular policy amendment is to ensure that the primary boundary student, those from Westlake proper, continue to have access to priority enrollment at the academy, which was kind of the original intention of the academy, was to serve Westlake primarily and then open up spots for students to come as the space allowed. Populations increases in this area require that we refocus those primary boundary expectations as they relate to enrollment at the academy. So beginning with the 25-26 school year, a student who is admitted as a primary boundary resident but no longer resides within the primary boundary may enroll in the academy the following school year only if the student has attended Westlake Academy for 5 consecutive years. So we're acknowledging a student that's been part of our community for 5 years is probably someone who's invested in the school. They've invested in different ways than just maybe a 1-year resident would have. As a primary boundary resident, and the student's current residence is within the secondary boundary. Did that get cut off? Is that right? That's the finished. Okay. Okay. So they would, so that's the first part of it. So if you're coming in starting 25-26 and, Ms. Reeves asked a question earlier, does this affect, the current students? Anytime we enact, there's a grandfathering of that, and Darcy has lots of notes on how those grandfathering situations have occurred and when they roll off. So this would be another one of those circumstances.
Kelly, I like the part that they have to retain in the secondary boundary, which we've wheeled in.
Yes, that's right.
Doesn't put a liability on families and unintended consequences and all those issues. Okay.
That's exactly right.
That's
so
excellent.
It still keeps them tied to the school,
Yes.
at least geographically. So,
Can I ask a question?
Yes, absolutely.
So on the previous one, can they only enroll for 1 additional year? Or, because as written, it seems like they can only enroll for 1 additional year. Or can they continue to enroll if they stay in that secondary boundary?
Yes, if they stay in the secondary boundary, they would be eligible to stay.
Let's
until
make that clear. Great
graduation
question,
occurs.
TJ.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. And then secondarily, that a currently enrolled student who obtained admission as the child of a full-time Town of Westlake employee, because remember, Town of Westlake employees, Westlake Academy employees do get some of that priority status. That ability to come would only remain as long as that staff member is working full-time. So with the Town of Westlake, that employment status does not change. That's the second piece of that. And then the third piece, just as a clarification, neither of these conditions affect a secondary boundary resident from coming in through the lottery. That all of the ability to go through the lottery process is not negated.
Good. Any questions?
about
Yes,
that?
not to open a can of worms, but so if a student is a resident and they're enrolled for the year and they move during that school year, get to remain for the remainder of that year?
That's a great question. Yes, we would not remove them mid-year.
Okay.
But if they had not been a
I don't
5-year
want to speak for
student,
Janet.
if they had not been a 5-year student, they could not continue the next year unless they went through the lottery process.
Right.
That's correct.
Just want to clarify.
It has always been the practice to allow students to complete whatever school year that the change in circumstances occurs.
That's a good
just
policy.
impact their ability to re-enroll the following year.
And I think just for transparency purposes, one of the other things we should clarify is if a student was enrolled and moves into the secondary boundary, and let's say they have a rising kindergartner, that status does not go with that kindergartner, correct? That is only for the students that came in under those circumstances. So there wouldn't be that anchor situation where you had one child that was there and fulfilled the criteria, but then rising students would not be eligible for that same consideration.
There's no doubt. I think the stats are 35% are Westlake Academy, live in the town of Westlake, and that's a function of capacity. We used to really mess up that stat.
Right.
And but as Westlake is growing, we're going to see those over the coming years, I think, change substantially with all the residents that we have in. But I personally still very much appreciate we educate kids outside of Westlake.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's just a great model to have those spots open and for us to all be able to come together in pursuit of an IB education. And it definitely makes a stronger school to have that.
Any other questions?
I have one other question. I was kind of unclear to me. So we're saying that the registration is until January 31st. So when we have individuals that are moving into after January 31st, are they then are they still receiving priority for the open spots, or are they?
Yes. So Darcy, you want to speak to that? But yes, it doesn't affect our primary residents.
January 31st deadline is for lottery applicants. So the lottery applicant period starts on December 1st of every year and runs through January 31st. Anyone that in the secondary boundary that applies during that time is included in the lottery that's held in February. Residents can move into at any time during the school year and can apply and get entrance at that time.
But
Yes, sorry. Janet always reminds me to add that on, if space is available.
But Darcy, in all honesty, and this is where we got to get really crisp with our data, there's very few of that happens, correct?
The majority of our new residents come in over the summer.
Yeah.
We have maybe 3 or 4 new residents over the course of the year. This year was a little bit different because we had a resident family that came in with triplets, so that raised our numbers a little bit. But generally, it's. I
guess my question was, I don't know which date you're completing the lottery admissions. So if you're filling those lottery spots and then people are moving into town after that date, are there spots for? I mean, do we anticipate those spots for them? Are we saving spots for that contingency?
We don't fill spots through the lottery. We create the wait list through the lottery.
No, but I mean when you're actually accepting the students off of the lottery list.
Okay.
When are the lottery spots being offered?
Okay, we're in the process of that right now. We started earlier in May with kindergarten and fourth grade because we knew those spots were available. We've just now started with sixth grade now because that's another grade where we have extra spots available each year as we grow. That class is bigger than the fifth grade class. And then at the end of the month, on May 31st, when we know now all of our returning students have let us know they're either returning or not, then we can start opening up the other spots that become available.
But in the event that new residents do move in over the summer,
we always hold spaces available for residents moving in over the summer.
Great to know.
We keep a few spaces open because we know that's going to happen, and then that way it keeps us from overfilling our course classes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Any other questions? May I get a motion to approve WA Resolution 2512 as presented? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Kelly,
Thank you all so much.
Agenda item H7, discussion and consideration of all matters incident and related to approving and authorizing publication of notice intention to issue certificates of obligation, including adoption of Resolution 25-16 pertaining thereto. I've been asked to move this to executive session. Do we want to talk about it or go to executive session, and then we'll come back out after?
I would suggest the second.
Go
to executive session first. Yeah.
We will hold that to executive session. Thank you. Agenda items H8 and H9, I'm going to read together, and we'll have to have separate motion approval on each. H8, discuss, consider, and act to approve WA Resolution 25-13, authorizing the head of school to enter to a 3-year, $1 buyout lease agreement with Apple Financial Services for the acquisition of hardware, software licenses, and services to support the Westlake Academy 1-to-1 Technology Device Initiative. And H.9, discuss, consider, and act to approve WA Resolution 25-14, authorizing the head of school to enter into a 3-year lease agreement with CSI Leasing for the acquisition of hardware to support Westlake Academy 1-to-1 Technology Device Initiative. Mr. Power, how are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We're talking about these at the same time, but I'll start with 2513. That's to lease new hardware for the school. That's a 3-year $1 buyout lease at 0% interest. It's going to be 4 staff laptops. That's 130 of those. 1,111 iPads. That's for staff, students, substitutes, break fix, all that kind of stuff. So yes, we have a few extras in there, but then it kind of covers everybody over the 3 years, and that also includes the new cohort for grade 4 over the next. Then we need to replace the carts that store these devices. Apple changed the configuration of the iPads, and so some of these storage carts that we have now, trays, they're pushing 10 years old, and they're not compatible with the new iPads anyway. So that's carts for storage of those. Jamf is a device management software package that we use to all the staff laptops and student iPads with that too. And then deployment services. Get all those out. So the total cost of all that, the deployment services, that's labeling all of the iPads, scanning them into our software, to the Jamf software, putting all of the iPads into the cases that they come with. So outsource that part. A small team would take a long time to do that, and they can get that done in about a week. Get them to us. The total cost on that, $788,541.45. Apple Financial will break that into 3 annual payments. $262,847.15 times 3 equals the number up above, so it's 0%. And then we had another lease option provided to us at a higher interest rate than 0% for the same equipment. So we're recommending going with the Apple Financial lease. See some cost savings there.
Can I just ask you?
I'm sorry, go ahead, TJ.
No, just a quick question. Are we depreciating each of these devices over 3 years? Is that what the expected lifespan of an iPad is that's being used, or a MacBook?
I don't know if we're depreciating or not. I
No,
mean,
sir, we're not.
what we've done before
Put aside the accounting
are the
element,
3-year lease, and then we hand everything back.
So basically replacing them every 3 years.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Is there a potential cost savings there? Because most devices don't necessarily. I recognize we can improve the software. You can always upgrade the software, but most iPads, can get an extra year out of them. That's an extra, 33% potential cost savings.
Right. What we've seen, we've been doing this since 2013. We tried to stretch it to 4 years one time. With students using iPads, 3 years, 2 years is great. That third year is always hard for us. There's a lot of break fix going on. So even though theoretically they should continue to be functional and lots of life left in them, the students using them are much harder on them.
And this is so we're not purchasing. This is a lease. We're leasing the devices.
Well, this will be a $1 buyout lease, so we will own them.
Yeah.
Is there a saving from what we're doing today on this? Is there a year-over-year saving, or is it just saving in this?
It's more expensive this time than the previous lease because we're adding additional iPads to support the additional students, and the cost of hardware increased the past 3 years. It's between 18.
But at about 400 some odd dollars price, considering you're getting case with it,
Yes.
getting Apple Care.
Yes, the iPads and the laptops include Apple Care Plus, and then Apple gives education buyers a further discount. Normally, Apple Care Plus is a $49 service fee for any repairs, but for education users, they have a $0 repair 2 times per device. So that gets us through those 3 years pretty well.
And so the Apple Care Plus lasts 3 years or 2 years?
3 years.
3 years.
So it'll be for the life of the lease.
So, Jason, our existing equipment is coming to the end of its lease. Is that we have to return those?
That's part of the next item.
Okay.
It is not a dollar buyout lease.
Right.
So yes, we either have to return everything or choose to buy it out. I haven't requested a cost to buy out those iPads.
Okay.
We don't want to use those another.
Sure.
We
No,
need to
absolutely.
replace those.
So
the next item is requesting approval to buy the laptops that staff are using right now and the Apple TVs classroom.
But specifically relating to the iPad, the current iPad.
Yes.
So those will be returned. Whereas with this new agreement, the intention is then to keep them after the 3 years? The dollar buyout, what's that?
That's what they offered, was a 0% dollar buyout or a much higher interest traditional lease. So
potentially,
it would cost us more to not do the buyout.
So potentially then at the end of this 3-year period, we might be able to save these for a 4th year. Have a
We can look at that. We
added
could
value.
look at Apple does a trade-in program also, where they would pay us for those devices and apply that toward another.
Yeah, it would be useful to evaluate whether or not there are other ways to recoup some of the cost at the end of the lease term, because you could buy them out and, you sell them at scale to other companies for $200 a piece, $250 a piece. It depends on what Apple would give in trade-in, and that would be a lot more straightforward. But theoretically, what I'm trying to get at is theoretically this total cost may be somewhat reduced by, the residual value.
We talked about some of this before, and I need to look into it again. Some things have changed, but I think with the municipality basically owning the equipment, I think there's some laws in place that you can speak to that, Mr. Boyle, but that don't allow us to sell directly to the public. There's some processes that have to happen, but we've got 3 years to figure that out again. I know before when I was asked to look into that, the answer we can put them in an auction or do a trade.
There's a little municipal rules you'll get to learn.
Value.
There is. The last time we did a dollar buyout lease, I believe it was 9 years ago. It would have been 6 years ago. But we did take those iPads, trade them back into Apple, and get a discount. That was a great option for us.
Can I ask one more question, just so I can better understand the cost here? How often are we required to replace iPads as it is now? I'm not saying like at scale. Like how often are they getting broken? How often are they getting damaged? Like what's the cost? How often are we repairing them?
We're sending anywhere from it depends on the time of year, but we have sent up to like 20 to 40 iPads a month. Apple. Lots of getting left in a backpack, falling off a balcony.
I hope I don't say this and get a bill here in a few weeks, but if the student damages the iPad, what is their liability?
We have the tech use fee. That's $99 a year.
Okay.
Request that all students pay that.
Okay.
I know
We're going to move to, that's a mandatory fee moving forward.
It's been optional?
That's been an optional fee.
It's been optional.
That's not going to be optional anymore.
Okay, good.
Apple Care is great. And so we're getting the Apple Care with this lease, and then we're asking the students to pitch in another $99 as kind of a self-insurance that we're providing on that also in case there's a third or fourth break. We can cover those costs. And then it's been our practice before, if you didn't pay that $99 fee and broke an iPad, we could say, well, you could pay the $99 now. We'll call it good.
Well, Kelly, I like where you're going. Let's get the discipline in place, and we want our students to be responsible for the equipment they get. Take care of it. I don't think that's a lot to ask.
One
it is
more
not.
follow-up on this. So you say a couple 20 to 40 a month get sent back. How many of them are third time through? Because now what I'm wondering is, does that $99 per student, is that actually going to create net positive revenue for the school? That's going to go to the school's budget, right? The $99?
Yes, and we have a fund that has positive amount in it. We don't have to dip into that too much. A lot of times we use that fund to pay for the iPad app subscriptions that they're using too. That's where a lot of those costs go. So it's not just we used to call it iPad insurance, but it's a tech use fee. It can be used to help pay for the repair of equipment, but it's mostly software and service.
And Jason, one thing I would mention too is that the Apple Care covers the repairs to the iPad, but not the case, correct? So that those
It covers
fees,
the case.
Oh, it does cover.
Yeah, as long as we buy the case with it, and this is a bundle that Apple's providing. That it's the iPads are about, since we're buying them in packs of 10, they're about $20 each cheaper. The Apple Care is discounted, plus you're getting the free service fees, and then the keyboard case. It's a Logitech rugged combo touch keyboard case, so it's got the touchpad and a keyboard, and it's a little rugged. It's got the drop rating, the military drop rating, all that kind of stuff. They're normally $109.95, and Apple doesn't tell you this specifically, but if you kind of base those other costs, it comes out to about $80 a case. So there's $30 savings on those.
Yeah, I didn't realize those were included because I was going to say
Yes.
the cases are more likely to be damaged than
The
actual
cases
iPad
get
by
sent
the
in a
student,
lot,
So
and then that's kind of a problem we've had before too. After 3 years, Logitech, they're Logitech cases, they're not Apple cases. Logitech has moved on, and they're not making those cases anymore, so we don't get sent any repairs. Buying used ones off of Amazon and off of eBay just kind of get us through to the next lease kind of thing.
Any other questions? Are you going to go on to the...
I can go on to the...
do I have a motion to approve WA Resolution 25-13 as presented?
so
So
moved.
move.
Can I get a
Second.
second? Thank you. All in favor?
Four.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank
We're all
you.
for it.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Good work, Jason.
Thank you.
All right, so the next one, this is to purchase the 125 laptops that the staff are currently using, and as well as the 75 Apple TVs that we have spread across campus in classrooms, signage, they're just all over the place. Both of those are still functioning great. This is a huge cost. They're charging us less than half the value of when we bought them new. And the reason we want to keep those, the Apple TVs are still working great. There have been new Apple TVs that have come out in the past year, but there's the functionality in those. It's not, there's not anything significant for what we're using them for. So they're perfectly fine, and we can see a huge cost savings if we just keep those rather than buying new ones. And then the MacBook Air laptops, what we've done in the past, when we're coming off a lease, we've asked to buy the staff laptops and put those into student carts so that we have newer laptops available to the students. That hasn't been approved for the past two times. So we're running student laptops that are from 2015 and then a few that were given to us through grants in 2019. So I'm asking if this resolution is to approve us to buy out the 125 laptops on the current lease and the Apple TVs so that we can replace our aging student laptops. Questions on that?
Questions?
Sorry, so you're saying it's 55,000 total divided over 3 years? Not per
Yeah, so
year.
it's the 1547.30 per month.
Per month, okay.
That comes out to the 55,702. We're asking for the lease approval just to keep that money in the bank a little longer and earn some interest on it. We have the option to buy it out. We could buy these items out. I think the agenda memo is 51,000 something. So it's about $4,000 savings if we buy them out now. But we could do the lease for 36 months. Keep some money in the bank.
What's the buyout at the end of the lease?
It's a dollar buyout.
The dollar buyout.
I assume that decision has Casey's blessing. Go that way rather than buying. Casey's shaking her head.
Yes. Yes.
Affirmative.
Keeping money in the bank's a good thing.
Okay. Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve WA Resolution 25-14 as presented?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all very much. Jason,
you.
thank you, sir. Okay. Agenda item H.10, discuss and review and acknowledge the receipt of the intruder detection audit report submitted by the Texas School Safety Center and approve related corrective actions to enhance safety and security measures at Westlake Academy. That is going to be deferred to executive session. The time is now 5:35 p.m. and pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, the Town Council Board of Trustees will now adjourn into executive session in accordance with the authority contained in I-1, Section 551-076, deliberation regarding security device or security audits related to summary findings of an intruder detection audit for Westlake Academy. I-2, Section 551-071, consultation with legal advice from the town attorney regarding pending litigation, Vertical Bridge versus Town of Westlake. And I-3, Section 551-071, consultation with legal advice from Academy attorney regarding Westlake Academy attendance policy and admission policy.
Mr. Mayor, in addition to those pursuant to Section 551.071, the council/board will convene an executive session to receive confidential legal advice regarding Resolution 2516.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
That's the resolution that you added on the debt.
I'm sorry?
That's the resolution that
Oh,
you added
I
on
got
the
it.
debt.
Got it. I'm sorry. Okay, it's 5:36.